Dear students, now we are going to learn the fifth lesson in biobotany, that is plant tissue culture. Growing of the plant protoplast, cells, tissues and organs away from their natural environment, that is away from their plant body, under artificial condition is known as tissue culture. It is also known as in vitro growth of the plant protoplast, cells, tissues and organs. We will remove the parts, cells, tissues, organs from the plant body and we will culture it. We will grow the plants, and this is what is plant tissue culture. Gottlieb Haberland is considered as the father of plant tissue culture because he proposed the concept of the totipotency and cultured the first plant Lamium purpureum in artificial culture medium. Lamium purpureum is a small herbal plant with purple color flowers. What are the basic concepts of tissue culture? Totipotency. What is meant by totipotency? Every cell of the plant has the capacity to regenerate into a whole plant. This is what is called as totipotency. So every plant cells have the capacity to regenerate the whole plant. Differentiation. This is the process of the biochemical and structural changes that happens in the cell to become specialized in their form and function. This is called differentiation. What is redifferentiation? The cells which are already differentiated into one type of cells can be differentiated into another type of cells. For example, the parenchymatous cells can be differentiated into collenchymatous cells. This is what is called as redifferentiation. Next, what is dedifferentiation? It is the reversion of the mature cells, that is differentiated cells, into meristematic state once again, leading to the formation of the callus, which is called as dedifferentiation. Plant tissue culture and lab facility. So what are the things necessary for the plant tissue culture? So plant tissue culture is in vitro. In vitro means outside the body of the organism, the cells, tissues are all cultured. And aseptic growth, it should be germ free. Conditions must be germ free, and so it is aseptic growth of any plant part on a medium, culture medium. Explant. What is this explant? It is the plant part that is selected and isolated from the rest of the plant body. And it should be maintained in the controlled, physically as well as chemically controlled condition. PTC lab should contain the following things. It should have the washing facility for washing and drying the glasswares. It should have an autoclave to sterilize the utensils and the materials which are essential for the culturing the plant. pH meter should be present. We need an electronic balance. We need laminar air flow cabinet, that is LAF cabinet, proper illuminated chamber with the humidity maintained at 60%. With the humidity maintained up to 60% should be there, and pH should be maintained between 5.5 to 6, and temperature should be maintained at about 25 degrees Celsius. 50 to 60% of humidity as well as 1000 lux of light intensity is essential for plant tissue culture. Aeration should be there. What are the basic steps involved in the plant tissue culture technology? First one, getting the explant. Explant is nothing but the selected isolated part from the plant, and growing this explant inoculated into the culture tubes or the culture medium at 20 to 28 degrees Celsius with illumination of light with a photo period of about 8 to 16 hours and in a relative humidity of 60%. When this tissue is cultured, we will get the undifferentiated callus, and this callus will be separated into single cell, and all the single cells will be cultured. This further culturing will regenerate new plantlets. What are the techniques involved in the plant tissue culture? The first step is sterilization. So sterilization is a technique which is employed to get rid of all the microbes such as bacteria, fungi in the culture medium, vessels, explant, whichever we are using for this plant tissue culture. In that first stage is the maintenance of aseptic environment. Environment must be germ free. For this we need to do the sterilization of the glassware, forceps, scalpels and all the accessories by wet steaming in the autoclave. By wet steaming in the autoclave at 15 psi, pound force per square inch, at about 121 degrees Celsius of temperature for 15 to 30 minutes. Or it can be done by dipping in 70% of ethanol, which can be followed by flaming and cooling. Second sterilization is the sterilization of the culture room. The floor and the walls must be washed first with the detergent, then with 2% of hypochlorite or by 95% of ethanol we have to wash and clean the floors and walls. Then in the cabinet of the laminar airflow must be sterilized by clearing the work surface with 95% of ethanol and then exposing it to the UV radiation for 15 minutes. And sterilization of the nutrient media. The culture media must be kept in the glass container. It can be plugged with non-absorbent cotton or it can be sealed with plastic closures. Then it should be sterilized using autoclave at about 15 psi, pound force per square inch. So the same 121 degrees Celsius must be kept for 15 to 30 minutes. The plant extracts, vitamins, amino acid, hormones all should be sterilized by passing through the millipore filter first. Millipore filter with 0.2 mm pore diameter, then it should be added to the sterilized medium. Sterilized culture medium, that should be done inside the laminar airflow chamber under sterile condition. Then the sterilization of the explant, the plant material which is going to be used for the tissue culture should be surface sterilized first by exposing this in the running tap water, then treating it with the surface sterilization agent like 0.1% of mercury chloride, 70% of ethanol, all under aseptic condition inside the laminar airflow chamber must be done. The second stage is that media preparation. Here the composition of the growth medium is very important, and normally it does not consist of a single medium. No single medium is capable of maintaining optimum growth for the plant tissues. So it should contain all the suitable nutrients as per the principles of the plant tissue culture, and it is prepared and used. Usually MS nutrient medium, that is Murasich Skoog medium, which was found in 1962, is commonly used. It has the carbon sources with all suitable vitamins and hormones. Along with the MS B5 medium, which was found by Gamberg et al. In 1968, white medium found by White in 1943, and NIST medium found by NIST in 1969 can also be used. This medium should be solid or semi-solid or liquid. For solidification of this medium, a gelling agent such as agar can be used. Culture conditions. The pH, temperature, humidity, light intensity, aeration all should be checked for the optimum growth of the plant tissue. The pH of the medium must be maintained between 5.6 to 6 for the best result. As well as the temperature should be maintained the constant temperature of 25 degrees Celsius, which can be plus or minus 2 degrees Celsius to and fro, is suitable for the optimal growth. Humidity must be maintained 50 to 60% for 16 hours of the photo period, and the light intensity should be approximately 1000 lux. Aeration is also very important for the culture, and it can be provided by shaking the flask on the tubes, the liquid culture in an automatic shaker, or by aerating it by passing with the filter sterilized air. The next stage is that induction of callus. Explant of 1 to 2 cm sterile segment must be selected from the leaf or any plant part, and it must be inoculated in the MS nutrient medium, that is Murasich Skoog medium, which is supplemented with the auxins and incubated at 25 degrees Celsius plus or minus 2 degrees Celsius. Alternate light and dark period of 12 hours should be provided to induce the cell division, and so explant can develop into callus. and callus is the mass of unorganized cells. The next stage is that embryogenesis. Once a callus is formed, the callus cells should undergo differentiation and produce somatic embryos, which are called as embryoids. And these embryoids are subcultured to produce plantlets. These embryoids are again separated and it must be cultured to develop into the plantlets. Next stage is that hardening, and these plantlets which are developed in the in vitro culture medium should be transferred to the greenhouse or the hardening chamber. So hardening chamber is, after hardening chamber, then it must be introduced into the normal environmental condition. So hardening is a gradual exposure of the in vitro developed plantlets into the natural environment soil. This process is called acclimatization, so as to enable the plantlets which were prepared in the humid chamber in the controlled condition to enable them to grow under the normal field condition. It is the process of transferring the plantlets which were grown in the controlled condition into the normal field condition. Now, what are the types of plant tissue cultures? So culture is based on the explant, what we get out of the plant body. And some other plant tissue culture types are organ culture, meristem culture, protoplast culture and cell culture. The whole plant culture contains seed culture and embryo culture, by which we will get the whole plant. Plant organ culture, which includes androgenesis, the anther culture and isolated pollen culture, ovary culture, nucellus culture, ovule culture and vegetative organ culture, which will include the shoot culture, root culture and leaf culture. Protoplast culture can be of synkaryon, that is both nuclei will fuse and it is called synkaryon culture. Heterokaryon, both nuclei will be existing, heterokaryon, and hybrid, that is one nucleus will disappear. Now let us see the types of plant culture in detail. First one, organ culture. The organs of the plant like embryos, anthers, ovaries, roots, shoots and other organs of the plants can also be cultured in the culture media through this organ culture. Second one is meristem culture, that is culture of any plant, meristematic tissue. Third one is the protoplast culture. Here the protoplast of the cell alone without the cell wall, and it can be bounded by the cell membrane or the plasma membrane is cultured. Using this protoplast culture, it is possible to regenerate the whole plant from a single cell, and so it can develop somatic hybrids. What are the steps involved in the protoplast culture? First, isolation of the protoplast. So for this we need to cut the small bits of the plant tissues like leaf, which is used for the isolation of the protoplast. First we must cut the leaf tissue into small bits. Then it must be immersed into the 0.5% of macrozyme enzyme and 2% of Onotsuka cellulase enzyme dissolved in 13% sorbitol or mannitol at pH 5.4. This must be incubated overnight at 25 degrees Celsius. After gentle teasing of the cells, protoplast is obtained, is separated from the cell wall. And these are then transferred into 20% of sucrose solution to retain their viability. And they must be in the live conditions. For that we need to keep it in the sucrose solution, 20% of sucrose solution. They are then centrifuged to get only the pure protoplast, and the other debris of the cell wall will be separated by centrifugation. The second stage is that fusion of the protoplast. So this is done through the use of suitable fusogen. The fusogen which is used here is normally PEG. PEG means polyethylene glycol. The isolated protoplast must be incubated in 20 to 30% concentration of the PEG with the calcium ions. The protoplast will show the agglutination, that is formation of the clumps of cells, and fusion. The liquid medium will be agitated using a rotary shaker instrument by which the cells can be mixed well. The cells are separated from the callus tissue. The cells are separated and used for the cell suspension culture. The third stage in the protoplast culture is the culture of the protoplast. MS liquid medium is used with some modification. Protoplast viability is tested with fluorescein diacetate before the culture. The protoplast viability must be tested with fluorescein diacetate before culturing of the protoplast. Cultures are incubated in continuous light of about 1000 to 2000 lux at 25 degrees Celsius. The cell wall formation occurs within 24 to 48 hours and the first division of the new cells occurs between 27 days of culture. The next stage is the selection of the somatic hybrids. Fusion product of the protoplast without the nucleus of different cells is known as hybrid. That means the nucleus will not fuse, only the protoplast will fuse and it will have two nuclei. Following this, nuclear fusion also will happen and this process is called as somatic hybridization. So without nuclear fusion it is called as hybrid because it is just the fusion of the cytoplasm. After the fusion of the nucleus it is called a somatic hybridization. The next type of culture is called the cell suspension culture. When the single cells or the small aggregates of cells, when they are cultured in the liquid medium, then it is called a cell suspension culture. The cell suspension culture is prepared by transferring a portion of the callus into the liquid medium and by shaking it in the rotary shaker instrument. While shaking, the cells are separated from the callus tissue and this is used for the cell suspension culture. Next is the production of secondary metabolites. What are these secondary metabolites? Secondary metabolites are the chemical compounds that are not required by the plant for its growth and development. And the secondary metabolites can be produced out of this cell suspension culture. The secondary metabolites like alkaloids, flavonoids, terpenoids, phenolic compounds and other recombinant proteins can be obtained from the cell suspension culture. There are certain secondary metabolites listed in your book which are obtained through cell suspension culture. The first one, digoxin, which is obtained from the plant Digitalis purpurea. This digoxin is used as a cardiac tonic to treat the heart diseases. Codeine is the next secondary metabolite which is obtained from Papaver somniferum, which is used as analgesic, painkiller. Capsaicin, the third one, which is obtained from Capsicum annum, that is Codemeleha we say. This is used for treating rheumatic pain. Then the fourth one is vincristine, which is obtained from Cathanthus roseus, that is Vinca rosea we say. This is used as anti-carcinogenic agent to treat the cancer patient. The final one is the quinine. Quinine is the medicine which is obtained from Cinchona officinalis, which is used as an anti-malarial drug to treat the malarial fever. Plant regeneration pathway. So how from the explants plants are generated by somatic embryogenesis or organogenesis. Somatic embryogenesis is the formation of the embryos from the callus tissue directly. The embryos are formed from the callus tissue directly through somatic embryogenesis and these embryos are called as embryoids. What are the applications of this somatic embryogenesis? They provide potential plantlets. After hardening period they can establish into plants. The somatic embryos can be used for the production of the synthetic seeds. Synthetic seeds are nothing but the embryoids which are encapsulated in the agarose gel or the calcium alginate. Synthetic seeds are produced by encapsulating the embryoids in agarose gel or calcium alginate. The somatic embryogenesis is now reported in many of the plants like Allium sativum, Hordeum vulgare, Oryza sativa, Zea mays, and now this is possible in any plant. What is organogenesis? The morphological changes that occurs in the callus leading to the formation of the shoot and the root system is called as organogenesis. The differentiation of the shoot and the root from the callus tissue in the plant tissue culture is called as organogenesis. Organogenesis can be induced by introducing growth regulators, plant growth regulators like auxin and cytokinin in the culturing medium, MS medium. This auxin and cytokinin hormones can induce the shoot and root formation. The shoot formation is called as calogenesis, and the root formation is called as rhizogenesis. So what are the applications of plant tissue culture, which is a very important question. We can produce improved hybrids through somatic hybridization in the plant tissue culture. And the somatic embryoids can be encapsulated into synthetic seeds, and these synthetic seeds helps in the conservation of plant biodiversity. Plant tissue culture also helps in the production of disease resistant plants. How it can be done? When the plant is totally infected by any pathogen, few cells which could be got from the meristematic cells and the shoot tip can be cultured in the plant tissue culture, and which can be used to produce disease resistant plants. Production of the stress resistant plants like herbicide tolerant and heat tolerant plants also can be done through plant tissue culture. Micropropagation technique is used to obtain large number of plantlets, and these plantlets can be of both crop type or tree species, which can be used in agriculture as well as in forestry, and this can be produced, large number of plantlets can be produced within a short time, and it can also be produced in all the seasons all through the year. Production of the secondary metabolites from the cell suspension culture, as we have seen before, can be used for pharmaceutical, cosmetics and food industries. Micropropagation of bananas. Micropropagation of plants at industrial level will help to maintain high standard of homogeneity. What is this homogeneity? Similar gene constitution in all the plants. Homogeneity in plants like pineapple, banana, strawberry and potato can be done, by which the farmer can be supplied with the saplings which is having the same advantageous traits, genes in their plant sapling, by which the farmer can gain profit, because all the saplings, all the plants of his field will give the yield at a time. All the fruits will mature at a time. The protocol of this micropropagation in banana, MUSA. In vitro propagation of the banana. Tissue or the explant is taken from the desired plant. Normally the suckers are taken. Suckers are nothing but the lateral roots that develop from the rhizome will be collected, and it will be sterilized with 1% of NaOCl for 30 minutes. Then apical meristems from them are isolated, and they are cultured in the Muraszewski medium, which is a basal medium which is supplemented with benzylaminopurin of 10 mg per liter and indole acetic acid 1 mg per liter are added to this basal culture medium, that is MS medium. Then this induces the shoot within 168 days in the callus. Kinetin 2 mg per liter and naphthalene acetic acid 0.5 mg per liter should be added to the culture medium for root induction. So root will be produced. So first shoot was produced, then root was produced. Then after which the small plantlets are acclimatized. What is this acclimatization? It is the ability of the plant to adapt itself to the new environment. So this acclimatization of this plantlet is done in a polyhouse, and this will be followed by planting these plantlets in the shade house under 50% light for hardening process, after which it will be tested for the genetic uniformity. Then it can be transferred to the field. What are these artificial or synthetic seeds? Artificial or synthetic seeds are produced by using the embryoids or the somatic embryos, and they can be obtained through this in vitro culture. These artificial seeds are different inert material, and that can be used as the somatic embryoids, and they will be coated or encapsulated in the agarose gel or sodium alginate, and it can be stored for longer time. What are the advantages of this artificial seeds? Millions of artificial seeds can be produced at a time at low cost. Artificial seeds provide an easy method to produce genetically engineered plants with desirable traits. It is easy to test their genotype. They can potentially stored for a longer time under cryopreservation method, and these artificial seeds produce identical plants the period of dormancy of the artificial seeds are greatly reduced, and hence it can grow faster with a shortened life cycle. Virus-free plants. Normally, the perennial crops which are grown in the field, they are infected by variety of pathogens like fungus, bacteria, mycoplasma and viruses. Many chemicals are used to control this fungal and the bacterial pathogens, whereas viruses cannot be controlled by these chemicals also. For this, they adopt this shoot meristem tip culture method to produce the virus-free plants, because shoot meristem tips are always free from the viruses. Now let us see the protocol for virus-free meristem tip culture. So first we have to collect the virus-free apical meristem tip from the plant with 1 or 2 leaf primordia, and this becomes the explant. This will be cultured in the in vitro culture having 10 ml of solid MS medium. This MS medium must be supplemented with the growth hormones, and the culture atmosphere, the culture environment must be maintained at 24 plus or minus 1 degree Celsius in the dark for 3 days, which will be followed by the normal illumination of light 2400 lux. The plantlets will develop from the meristem tip, and this will undergo the organogenesis process. After organogenesis, it will be transferred to the hardening process. After hardening process, they will be transferred to the field condition. These are the steps of the plant tissue culture. First, the explant is collected from the desired plant, then it will be cultured in the culture medium. This is the explant culture on the agar medium. Then callus will be formed. Callus production is the third stage, and plantlets will be produced out of it. Plantlets are produced, and these plantlets are now transferred into the sterile soil. Plantlets are then transplanted into the sterile soil. Conservation of plant genetic resources, which includes germ plasm conservation. Germ plasm conservation refers to the conservation of the living genetic resources like pollen, seeds and tissues of the plant material, and they are maintained for the purpose of selective plant breeding, and they are preserved in the live condition used for many research work also. The pollen grains and the seeds' viability and fertility are maintained for any later use, such as hybridization and crop improvement. Germplasm conservation is useful for the maintenance of the biological diversity as well as for the food security. Cryopreservation, which is also known as cryoconservation. Cryopreservation is a process by which the protoplasm, cells, tissues, organelles, organs or extracellular matrix, enzymes and any other biological material preserved in the liquid nitrogen. These materials are subjected to preservation by cooling to a very low temperature of minus 196 degrees Celsius using this liquid nitrogen. At this extreme low temperature, no enzymatic activity or the chemical activity of biological material will be taking place. They will be totally stopped, and this leads to the preservation of the material in the dormant status. Later, these materials can be activated by bringing them to the normal room temperature slowly for any experimental work. Protective agents like dimethyl sulfoxide, glycerol, sucrose are also added to this material before cryopreservation process. These protective agents are called as cryoprotectants. These cryoprotectants will protect the cells and tissues from the stress of the freezing temperature. The intellectual property right, IPR. It is the right of the discoverer over the product which he has created out of his human intellect, and he has the full rights on his property. It cannot be neglected by others without legal permission. It includes all the other ways of rights like patent, copyright, trade secret, trademark, designs and geographical indication. In biotechnology, the transformed microorganism, plant and technologies for the production of the commercial products are exclusively the property of the discoverer, and these rights are protected by the laws which are framed by the country. Patents. it is the special right to the discoverer or the inventor that has been granted by the government through legislation for trading the new article which was discovered by them. General steps in patenting. The discovery and the invention must be submitted for the primary appraisal first, and they have to file the patent in the office of the controller of patents. And this include assessment of the creation as well as license negotiation, after which they can also patent it abroad. Further patenting can be done abroad, can be granted or refused. If it is granted, the enforcement of the approved patency can be done by the inventor or the discoverer. What is meant by biosafety? It is the prevention of the large-scale loss of biological integrity and focusing on both ecology and human health. The risk must be prevented. The risks such as pathogenicity, toxicity, and increase in the number of the antibiotic-resistant microbes must be prevented. Disposal and discarding of the contaminated, unwanted, hazardous microorganism must be done. The safety aspects associated with the industrial use of the microorganism containing the in vitro combinant must be undertaken. Bioethics. LC means ethical, legal and social implication of the biotechnology. It broadly covers the relationship between the biotechnology and the society with particular reference to the ethical and legal aspect. Ethical issues emerging from the advances in the biology and medicine, and their mission is to identify and address the issues raised by the genomic research that would affect the individuals. What are the potential risk and consideration for the safety aspects? Pathogenicity of the living organisms and viruses. Now we are in the present situation, we are facing COVID-19 pathogenicity, natural and genetically modified to infect the humans, animals and plants to cause the diseases. Toxicity of allergy associated with the microbial production, increasing the number of antibiotic resistant pathogenic microorganisms. Problems which are associated with the disposal of the spent microbial biomass and purification of the effluent from the biotechnological processes. All these are the potential risks and problems. Safety aspects associated with the contamination, infection or mutation of the process stains. Safety aspects associated with the industrial use of the microorganism containing the in vitro recombinants, etc. Biosafety guidelines. Biosafety guidelines are implemented by the Institutional Biosafety Committees, IBSCs, to monitor the research activities at the institutional level. The Review Committee on the Genetic Manipulation, RCGM, functioning in the Department of Biotechnology, will monitor the risky research activities in the laboratories. GEAC, the Genetic Engineering Approval Committee of Ministry of the Environment and Forestry, has the power to permit the use of the GMOs, genetically modified organism, at commercial level, and it opens the field trials of the genetic material including the agricultural crops, industrial products and healthcare products. The Ethical, Legal, Social Implication (LC) program was founded in 1990 as an integral part of the Human Genome Project. This program will identify and address the issues by the genomic research that would affect the individuals, families and the society. Ethical issues in genomic research. The privacy and the fairness must be in the use of the genetic information. There should not be any discrimination, genetic discrimination in the employment and the insurance into the practice of clinical medicine is the next issue. The person must be informed priorly with the informed consent of the people. Only the genetic research can be done with the people. Future of biotechnology. Biotechnology has become a comprehensive scientific venture from the point of academic and commercial angles within a very short time. Like industrial and computer revolution, biotechnological revolution will also promise major changes in many aspects of the modern life of human beings.